James Earl Jones has been one of my favorite voice actors since I was very young. The reason he's one of my favorites is because his voice is very powerful, very deep, and it was perfect for a few roles in the movies that he has played. The first movie I ever saw him in was Star Wars. Even though he didn't necessarily play Darth Vader, he still voiced him. And his voice was powerful. His voice was great for Darth Vader. It really made you scared. It made Darth Vader a scary person. They tried using David Prowse's voice, but his voice didn't really fit the part. James Earl Jones was born in Arcaboutla, Mississippi, and he was the son of Robert Earl Jones. He was born in January 17th, 1931. James Earl Jones, despite of his great voice acting as he's older, when he was a lot younger he had a very bad stuttering problem, so he spent 8 years just not talking. He called them his mute years. And during those 8 years, he was just afraid to speak because he thought his voice was too bad. He stuttered so much. So what he did was, he had a friend tell him, you know, he needed to get his confidence back up. He needs to start speaking more. And so James decided he was going to recite a poem every day in class, and that really helped him get over his stuttering problem. Jones continued his mute years until he got into high school, and he graduated high school no problem. He had good grades. He was a very smart student, and then when he graduated from high school, he ended up at the University of Michigan. He graduated University of Michigan where he was a pre-med major, and then he joined the Reserve Officer Training Corps. So while there was a war going on in Korea when Jones was in the military, he was waiting around for orders as he expected to get sent out to Korea for the war. He did a lot of stage crew work with the Ramsdale Theater in Manistee, Michigan, where he had earlier performed. While he was in the military, he ended up being promoted to first lieutenant, but then he got discharged. When he became discharged, he then moved to New York, where he studied at the American Theater Wing and worked as a janitor to support himself. As he was being a janitor in Manistee, Michigan, he was also doing a lot of plays there. He played in a lot of famous plays such as A Midsummer Night's Dream, Measure for Measure, Hamlet, Of Mice and Men. He actually won 2 Tony Awards, one in 1969 for The Great White Hope, and one in 1987 for Fences. Jones' first film was Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, in 1964. And in 1967, Jones portrayed a surgeon and Haiti rebel leader in The Comedians. During Jones' career, he realized that he was a good actor, and he kept being in movies, he kept acting, he kept doing all sorts of stuff. He was great. Everyone really started to like him. And George Lucas, he was making the Star Wars movies. He realized he needed a powerful voice for his movies, so he found James Earl Jones and collected him. It was great. Made a big difference. So, what do you think of David Prowse playing Darth Vader's voice?
Oh, well, he's an awful Darth Vader. His voice sounds nothing like the way Darth Vader's voice should sound. It's high-pitched.
So you agree that James Earl Jones was the perfect fit for Darth Vader's voice, correct?
Oh yeah, he played it perfectly.
So, you would agree that James Earl Jones, his voice was a lot more powerful than David Prowse?
Maybe one of the most powerful voices in the world.
And did it make you a lot more afraid of Darth Vader?
Yeah, and I think that's what he was going for.
Yeah, I think so too. So, what do you think the franchise would have been like with David Prowse voice as Darth Vader through the whole thing?
Awful. No one would have taken Darth Vader seriously.
Yeah, I agree. Alright, well, thank you for letting me ask you some questions.
Chup chup.